Abdul Qadeer Khan, you are accused of producing the first Islamic nuclear bomb.
Yes, I acknowledge and admit it, and I am honored as well.
You are then contributing to the proliferation of dangerous weapons and participating in threatening global security and the peace of my world.
Wait, don't you have nuclear weapons too?
Yes, of course I do, but there is an international treaty prohibiting the circulation of such weapons.
That treaty was written by you and a bunch of your friends who also have nuclear weapons. So you can appoint yourself as the world's guardians.
Abdul Qadeer Khan, you are a criminal and a traitor.
Do you know someone called Abdullah Elshrif?
The guy who keeps repeating, the outcome is the same.
Exactly, that's the one. So if you strike, strike hard. Because the outcome is indeed the same. And he also always says, let's go.
Alright then, let's go.
Let's go.
On October 10th, 2021, we all heard about the passing away of the renowned Pakistani scientist Abdul Qadeer Khan, who is widely known as the father of the Pakistani nuclear bomb. Or, to put it another way, the father of the only Islamic nuclear bomb that exists on this planet. And the question here is, who is Abdul Qadeer Khan? Abdul Qadeer Abdul Ghaffur Khan was born in the village of Bhopal in central India on April 1st, 1936. Bhopal at the time was a city with a mix of religions, where Muslims made up almost 26% of its population, while Hindus made up 69%. The remaining 11% was formed of people following different other religions. In a previous episode on the Arabic channel, we discussed how, when the British occupation left India in 1947, they partitioned British India into India and Pakistan based on religious line, and Pakistan itself was divided into East and West. Not to mention the ongoing conflict over Kashmir with a predominantly Muslim population, and where India carries out massacres up until this very moment. Abdul Qadeer's father was named Abdul Ghaffur Khan, who was a teacher. His mother, Zulekha Begum, was a homemaker and caretaker of the family. Both parents were devout Sunni Muslims. This Muslim couple had 7 children in total. The second youngest child was our Abdul Qadeer Khan. And after the massacres that happened to Muslims in 1947 and the years that followed, he and his siblings decided to migrate to Muslim Pakistan. And that's exactly what happened, my friend. They migrated in 1952. That was after Abdul Qadeer finished his secondary studies at Hamidia School in Bhopal. So they migrated to Pakistan when he was only 16 years old. Abdul Qadeer then enrolled in Dayaram Jatamal Sindh Government Science College, which is commonly known as DJ College, before attending the University of Karachi. And by the way, Muhammad ibn Qasim Thaqafi has a town named after him in Karachi, as we mentioned in a previous episode.
All right, we get it, son. You keep advertising your old episodes every now and then. Okay, we get it. Don't you have something else to advertise? How about something for dark circles and back pain?
Regardless, after the DJ College, Abdul Qadeer attended the University of Karachi, from which he graduated in 1960 with a Bachelor of Science in Physical Metallurgy. And where do you think the Pakistani government would assign someone with a bachelor's degree in metallurgy, Assam?
I didn't even know they gave jobs to graduates.
Abdul Qadeer was appointed in the Ministry of Municipal Affairs as a weights inspector. His job was to check if the scale was not tampered with and whether a kilo is really a kilo and not 3/4 of a kilo. What a very important job. And to no one's surprise, Abdul Qadeer resigned, my friend, and migrated to Europe, specifically to Germany, where he decided to continue his studies. And from Germany, he moved on to the Netherlands, where he earned a master's degree in metallurgy in 1967. And from the Netherlands, he went to Belgium, where he earned a doctorate in metallurgical engineering in 1972 from the Catholic University of Leuven. And here, Abdul Qadeer began his journey in a search for a job, my friend. He started sending out his CV here and there until a small, relatively unknown research lab in the Netherlands offered him a position. So he moved back to the Netherlands to join this lab and start working in the year 1972. And as soon as he started the job, my friend, he discovered that this rather shabby lab he was working at was actually a subcontractor for the Dutch partner of the Urenco, a consortium of British, German, and Dutch companies.
Oh, wow. So it turned out he was working with the Urenco. Do these guys sell underwear or what? I don't know.
No. The Urenco Group is a nuclear services company primarily focused on research and development of uranium enrichment. So, it specializes in the metal used to create nuclear bombs. Whoa, now that's playing with the big leagues, my friend. Exactly, Assam, especially since they were using a new and innovative method at the time, which was even easier than the old techniques that America and the Soviet Union used in their nuclear technologies. But let's leave Abdul Qadeer Khan there in the Netherlands for now and go back to India and Pakistan. In 1971, the Indo-Pakistani War broke out. Indian Air Force launched multiple air raids on Pakistan, and the Indian Army advanced with a major ground incursion in East Pakistan, supported by the Air Force. Pakistan lost many planes, airports, ships, and submarines. This war led to the loss of East Pakistan and the creation of a new independent country known as Bangladesh in the year 1971. And unfortunately, West Pakistan was forced to sign a humiliating document of surrender. And in 1974, India began testing with nuclear explosive devices. The then president of Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, made his famous statement, "We, Pakistan, will eat grass, even go hungry, but we will get one of our own, atom bomb. We have no other choice." And as a response, the American President Kissinger applied diplomatic pressures and enforced economic sanctions on Pakistan to halt its nuclear program. And keep in mind that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto is the father of Benazir Bhutto, who later became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Anyway, let's go back to Abdul Qadeer Khan, who was still working in his laboratories and conducting his tasks as normal in 1974 over in the Netherlands. What had happened to Pakistan has actually deeply influenced him and got him thinking non-stop. His mind kept going back and forth between India, his birthplace, and Pakistan, the Muslim nation. A very tough equation to solve for nationalists and those who worship borders. But Abdul Qadeer Khan grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and wrote an immediate letter to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. "I am Abdul Qadeer Khan. I am a graduate of Karachi University and I want to contribute to your nuclear program and help you build the nation's very first nuclear weapon." The response to Zulfikar's letter was that he requested to meet him in person. And indeed, they met in the same month the letter was sent, in December 1974, right in the heart of Pakistan. After this meeting, Abdul Qadeer returned to the Netherlands, but not to resume his work as before. No, from 1974, when he returned, until 1975, Abdul Qadeer did everything to make sure he had keys to every place in that laboratory. The man took photos of drawings, made copies of blueprints, stored information, got to know the suppliers, the equipment, the raw materials, and even prices. He didn't leave a single detail in that year without putting it in a file, categorizing it, and naming it. And on December 15, 1975, Abdul Qadeer Khan returned to Pakistan with his Dutch wife and their 2 daughters. Zulfikar immediately appointed him to the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission. But just a few months after his appointment, Abdul Qadeer requested to meet with Bhutto again to tell him quite frankly that the Atomic Energy Commission is simply useless.
Watch your mouth, man. Don't involve President Sisi in this. Aren't you talking about Pakistan?
I don't mean that useless. I am saying that he thought the commission was just a rundown shop, and it was nothing like what Abdul Qadeer had in mind. So Zulfikar tasked him to take full charge of the nuclear program and to build a new research commission for the project completely from scratch, as he wished. So Abdul Qadeer headed to the Kahuta area, which is just 50 kilometers away from Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan. There he established the headquarters of the Engineering Research Laboratory and got to work. Usually the process of producing a nuclear weapon takes between 16 and 20 years. However, Abdul Qadeer established his center, designed the centrifuge, assembled its parts, and produced it in just 6 years, which means that he completed his project by 1981 in just 6 years.
Do you really think that India and America would just let Muslims have nuclear weapons? As simple as that.
Wow, that's incredible. Isam is thinking and asking logical questions. Proud of you, brother. No, of course, Abu al-Assassin, the story is not done yet. During that same period, there was also a military coup in Pakistan, which ended by the execution of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in 1979, the man who started the nuclear legacy. The irony here is that the coup leaders who overthrew Bhutto are the ones who executed him for violating democracy. Yes, seriously. Even General Muhammad Ziaul Haq, who led the coup against Bhutto, was actually appointed by Bhutto himself because he seemed trustworthy and uninterested in politics. And of course, we're not going to ask the usual question, who does this remind us of?
What? Where? Who's there?
But what happened in 1979 was that the Soviet Union invaded and occupied Afghanistan, which was Pakistan's immediate neighbor. So Pakistan became the strategic gateway through which money and weapons reached the resistance fighters in Afghanistan. Of course, these supplies were coming from America, which wanted to bring down the Soviet Union. So here, the Americans couldn't afford to upset Pakistan by sabotaging its project or attacking it, and they couldn't assassinate Abdul Qadeer Khan either, because he had become an icon and role model for the Pakistanis. But through Muhammad Ziaul Haq, they could delay the project for a few years by letting it keep running in bureaucratic circles. This way, the Americans could focus on their interest in Afghanistan first, then later turn their attention back to the Pakistanis. Of course, before they could finish the bomb. We also shouldn't forget the role of the Pakistani intelligence agency, the ISI, whose reputation around the world surpasses even that of the American American CIA. It's just that the ISI hasn't gotten the media attention it deserves because they don't have Hollywood, its cameras and its spotlights. And here Abdul Qadeer Khan comes forward and astonishingly surprises the whole world by successfully producing the very first Pakistani Islamic enriched uranium in 1981. But
what now?
But this uranium they've enriched needed to be carried by something or stored somewhere. How were they going to launch it? They couldn't just detonate it right there in the place where it was made. And it wasn't just some gunpowder that they could stuff into any pipe and fire off. No, this is enriched uranium, man, and a nuclear weapon that took real effort. So at that point, Abdul Qadeer heads over to China, my friend, and comes back with the design for the nuclear warhead that it will be loaded into. But
what again? Every time something pops up, did he actually make the nuclear bomb or not? Your twists and turns just never stop.
shouldn't there be a dramatic context to this episode? Or is it just a bunch of dates we enumerate to tell the chronological order and call it a day? But here they also had a problem. China only gave him the blueprints of the warhead. As for manufacturing, they had to sort it out themselves. Imagine going to a manufacturing company and asking them to make a nuclear warhead. Of course, that's not how it works. And the solution here was Bukhari Syed Abu Taher, this young Sri Lankan businessman. They helped him set up an import-export company in Dubai as a front. The company traded officially in computers, sports equipment, factory supplies, and anything really. And since Bukhari's company exported goods, the company needed to import these goods first. Otherwise, where does the supplier get his goods from? And so, some parts needed for the warhead would be covertly sourced through another front company in Malaysia. Other parts were traded through a Turkish company. Some components came through another company in South Africa, and the rest was made in Pakistan. And finally, they completed the blueprint. Separately, no one could guess what these parts and equipment were used for. Bukhari's company was settling its invoices on time, so no one was questioning it. And why would they? Not only that, but Bukhari Abu Taher, through his front company, was also buying reactor parts and raw materials from Switzerland, Belgium, Britain, and Germany. These were from the list of suppliers that Abdul Qadeer had assembled during his time at the Dutch lab. All the parts and components needed to complete the warhead were bought and shipped separately from different suppliers to the ports of Dubai. And from Dubai, they would be again shipped as factory equipment parts and sent on to Pakistan until the mission was successfully completed. And finally, they had nuclear warheads. The name of the engineering research laboratory in Kahuta was officially changed to Khan Research Laboratories in 1981. And nobody suspected a thing. And do you think that he would stop there? Of course not. Abdul Qadeer knew that this kind of knowledge was strictly forbidden to Muslims by the West, and the fate of Muslim and Arab scientists who escaped the ban with their knowledge, like Samira Musa, an Egyptian scientist who was thrown off a cliff of a mountain in America, and Said al-Sayed Badair, also thrown from the top of a building in Alexandria, and the many others who were silenced. So Abdul Qadeer turned the laboratory into a training center and a scientific institute. No one really knows how many graduated from there, from where they were, how they studied, and when, due to the scarcity and secrecy of information about this laboratory and what happens inside. Among the most well-known graduates of this institute is Abdul Qadeer's friend Fakhrizadeh, the Iranian nuclear physicist and scientist who was assassinated by the Zionists in November 2020.
Buy a computer from the Korean company and get a free keyboard as a gift.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to say that this Abdul Qadeer is the one who taught Iran about nuclear science and all these things?
What is it, Assam? What did you have for dinner tonight, man? How did you get this smart all of a sudden? No, he didn't only pass on his nuclear science and expertise to them. Most importantly, he also tasked Taher in Dubai to supply them as well with the raw materials and equipment needed to produce their own nuclear weapon. When nuclear weapons inspectors visited Iran in the 1990s, they said that the laboratories there were exact replicas of the ones in the Netherlands, and that they had the same technologies used by Urenco, of which Abdul Qadeer took many copies. Moreover, when the same commission inspectors went to inspect weapons in Iraq, they said that they found a memo from Abdul Qadeer's company offering to supply Iraq with nuclear technology. But Saddam did not even respond to these offers because he thought at the time that it was a trap by American intelligence to entangle him in an international case. And not only that, in October 2003, a ship was caught in the Mediterranean Sea heading to Libya's Muammar Gaddafi, coming from Taher Company and loaded with cargo from Malaysia. Add to that North Korea and its nuclear weapons, and the suspicions that Abdul Qadeer was the one who supplied that technology to Korea as well. This was confirmed in 2004 when Abdul Qadeer himself appeared on national television and said that he had indeed sold that technology to some countries, took the money and got caught. He also said that he acted independently from the Pakistani army. Because of his statement, he was placed under house arrest and his reputation was damaged. But
this time I won't ask or even care, nor will I die trying to find out. Do you know what is it, Isam?
But after the resignation of the Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf, Abdul Qadeer made another statement saying that Musharraf had forced him to make a false public confession to tarnish his reputation and keep him under house arrest for 5 years. That was to please the Americans, who completely ignored Musharraf's military coup and kept a blind eye on it.
Did this Musharraf guy also came to power through a coup as well?
But of course, it's easier to count how many came to power through elections, because in this part of the world, coups are the norm, my friend.
Oh,
The key takeaway here is that Abdul Qadeer Khan would never have been known as being the father of the first Islamic nuclear weapon unless he had the backing and the full support of the state. And Pakistan without him, and he was just one of its many nationals, would never have been able to compete with the big boys and would have never stood in the front row with major powers. And it's also clear that military coups are always beholden to outsiders who will bargain with them over their country's resources and wealth in exchange for recognition. Just like what happened with Zia-ul-Haq in the 70s when he stalled Abdul Qadeer's project, and like what happened with Musharraf in the 2000s when he defamed and imprisoned him. The point is that one man can be as great as a whole nation, like Abdul Qadeer Khan. May Allah have mercy of his soul, who passed away a couple of years back on October 10th, 2021, after dedicating his life, his knowledge and whatever capabilities he had to benefit his nation. The point is that Abdul Qadeer Khan, although he was born in India, he chose to place his knowledge and expertise to the service of Muslims in Pakistan, India's adversary. He never betrayed anyone. Instead, he dedicated his life to serving his faith. And the point here is also that a single man can change not just a country or a single nation, but a single man can actually change an entire world. May God have mercy on the late Abdul Qadeer Khan. And may all that he offered to his nation, his faith, his homeland, and his beloved people be counted in his favor on the day when neither wealth nor children will benefit anyone except those who come to God with a sound heart. And that's it, believer. Assalamu alaikum.